Welcome to the Helping Families Be Happy podcast, where we explore the often messy world of family, love, and relationships. I'm your host for this podcast, Adina Oberman, a mom, former preschool teacher, picture book lover, and member of the Familius marketing team. I'm also the creator of Big Books for Little Hands, a site dedicated to connecting parents and teachers with the best books for the ups and downs of life with little ones. We welcome today's guest, Emily Lauren Dick. Emily is a creative marketer, author, and activist who is passionate about body image, women's issues, and ethical marketing. This episode aligns with the Familius habits: read together and learn together. You can learn more about the Familius 10 Habits of Happy Families by going to the Habit Hub blog on familius.com. Welcome, Emily. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I know you've been on the podcast in the past because of your absolutely beautiful book, Body Positive. And I want to talk about that, but I'm very excited for you to share a little bit more about your upcoming book that is called I Love Me from A to Z. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about your upcoming children's book?
Absolutely. So it is a board book, and it is for our youngest readers out there, or not even readers yet, but they're going to be inspired by a book about body positivity, confidence, body safety, self-love, self-care, and so much inclusion, which was really the biggest inspiration for this book. And through my background in body image studies and the book I wrote, Body Positive, which was for young adult women, I had done a lot of research and learned that body image issues affect even our youngest readers. Studies have shown that children as young as age 3 are affected by body image today. So it was really important that I create some resources. And this book came to life as a result of that research and really just wanting to put something out into the world that helped children. And as a mom too, it was really important to make sure that we start having these conversations as young as possible so that we can create very resilient children.
Definitely. I think with all of us being constantly surrounded by images, in general, whether they're positive or negative, just being constantly bombarded with information and images and so much of what we consume today is about image and what things look like. So I think given that reality, it's so wonderful to have a tool like your book, as you said, for our youngest readers or even pre-readers, because as you said, it makes an impact on their brains and how they view themselves and their bodies in our little world. So I love that this is something that a board book for kind of starting them early on being positive about themselves and their bodies. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what to expect from the book? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What can we expect?
So it's kind of like when you read it, it's like a positive affirmation, right? Each letter it sounds like a positive affirmation, but it's also a statement to encourage and inspire kids to feel good about themselves, whether it's about their bodies or whether it's about, challenging what they see out there, whether it's about saying no, whether it's about being kind and including others. It really is just such an all-encompassing sort of book that really touches on just being a good human. And I really like how the positive affirmations are really easy to say, really easy to understand. It's something that these little statements that I've used with my children, even, like I'm the boss of my body, right? That's an easy thing for young readers or pre-readers to remember when they've heard it. So that is just so important. And the illustrations in this book by Mimi are just like so colorful, so bright, positive, so inclusive. That was really important to me when I wrote this, was that the images that we put with the words that I wrote were really also just as inspiring. And that's something I also did with the book Body Positive, right? We photographed a variety of different women and different body types. So this is the same kind of idea, but in children form. So you'll see a lot of colorful children with different abilities and just enjoying life and being good humans.
Yes, that is certainly something that stands out about both books, about your work, that it really shines through, that um, the emphasis on inclusion and diversity in every way imaginable. So from, young and old to people of varying abilities, limb differences, all kinds of everyone from all walks of life. And I think that it's both books are such a celebration of this idea of come as you are, and I think that's so beautiful. I love that it is for me, I feel that it's a book that is really a conversation starter
Mhm.
with your child, even if they're young, especially when you think about teaching them these big concepts, right? Like body safety. That's a
Mhm.
big concept to
Mhm.
teach a young child, especially in those early years when their little brains can only grasp things that are tangible. So I was reading I had the privilege to read the manuscript and see kind of behind the scenes as the book has developed with our team. And my son was kind of looking over my shoulder and asking me, oh, what book is this? He always likes to know what's coming up
Oh, I
next.
love that.
And and it was great because as I kind of showed him little pieces here and there, it was a great way for me to sort of have that conversation with him. He's 6. But I do think that it can be hard. It can be hard to sort of know where to begin this conversation. And so for me, um, as I was going through each of the letters in your book, I was trying to communicate that sense of like you're the boss of your body. And so saying that if you want to give a friend a hug, just ask. Or if someone wants to give you a hug, they should ask you first. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter if it's your best friend who always says yes, or I don't know, relative that you only see once a
Yeah,
year. Yeah,
exactly.
everyone should ask. And just sort of building that concept of, um, like you said, I'm the boss of my body, and I get to say yes today and to whomever I want, and I can change my mind. I can say no tomorrow. So um, I think your book is such a great tool for having these conversations and making it so
Absolutely.
tangible. Um, it's so abstract and vague when you're small.
Yeah, and
And
that's why it's so important that it's foundational work, really, that what we're doing for children with books like this is it's really giving them the skills and the language to communicate some of these things. So maybe they can't put words why they don't want to hug grandma, for example, right? And then it gives them the ability to sort of make that correlation early on. And then in the future, when they are teenagers, they're going to have that foundational knowledge and they're going to recognize like my body's feeling uncomfortable and I want to say no. And we're giving them that permission to say no for themselves. And I think that concept, I mean, that's just one of the things that we touch on in the book, but it's a very important thing. And it goes with all the other things that we cover, right? The foundation of what body positivity is, or self-care, or focusing on non-physical achievements. So there's so many things that it's a brief but very impactful way of giving kids that foundation and that conversation, those words, to be able to make those connections later on.
yes. I'm thinking about all of the conversations that I've started to have with my kids, especially my daughter who is now 9, and so many of them just revolve around all of the things you're talking about, whether it's, body positivity, but also just body awareness, right? Like
Yes.
in the world of, just social media and everyone being on devices all the time, we're so used to disconnecting and not being present, or focusing on sort of our the digital version of yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a real, you have to make a real conscious effort to, reconnect. Even myself, but especially like teaching my kids how to remain present and be aware of themselves, like your real body, not like,
Yes.
not
Yes.
your Roblox avatar.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And
So
it's so hard in this world. Like there's a million messages coming at our kids. Even kids shows. Like I talk about this all the time. Like I always use the example of Peppa the Pig and how they focus so much on daddy's big tummy. And these are things that they're learning at such a young age that we need to be able to teach them an alternative way to view the world, because they're going to need to be resilient against all that is that they're going to face, right? And the world is changing in a lot of great ways, but we still need to prepare them and arm them with this kind of juicy knowledge.
I love that. I love the way you put that. And it's so true. It's such a great way to talk about all of these concepts um, that they will take with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited for this book to be out in the world and to share it. Can you tell us what to expect? What do you have coming up? Do you have appearances coming up where we can find you and catch you?
I am working right now on kind of combining my creative marketing work with my author work. So I'm actually kind of re-establishing my online presence. It's going to be ready hopefully by the time the book comes out. But really, I'm joining everything together because the work that I do as a creative marketer and also as an author really is about helping people step into their authenticity, and it's helping them get comfortable with who they truly are, whether it's, for their business or working with children and whatnot. So I'm going to be focused on that and hopefully talking more and more. I love doing these podcast episodes because spreading the word on how to really step into your authenticity, whether you're a child or an adult, is really, really important. I think it's important work. And so you can follow me at bootstrappedwoman.com, and there will be more information about the books there very shortly, probably by the time you're listening to this episode even. And just stay tuned for the book, I Love Me from A to Z. I'm so excited.
We're so excited. And tell us your social media handle so that people can find you.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at bootstrappedwoman.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Emily.
Oh, thank you for having me.
As we conclude today's podcast, I'd like to thank Familius for their support in bringing this podcast to your ears and your heart. We'd be thrilled if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review. And when you're ready for the next amazing book adventure, we'd be honored if you'd choose a book from Familius. One step at a time, we can make the world a happier place.